We've been at this 4 years. We were very under the radar for a number of those years. And the opportunity we saw was that there was this big gap in sort of top of funnel measurement and bottom of funnel measurement. It was leaving out sort of the middle of the funnel. And in particular, TV wasn't getting the attention, the energy it needed for both the buyers of TV advertising and the sellers of TV advertising to do something with it that is about understanding its true value, its true power, being able to plan around that, and then more importantly, optimize around that. So what we saw in our research is that this trend around direct-to-consumer brands that are doing such smart and interesting things with TV advertising, that's not a phenomenon that's unique in the consumer's mind to direct-to-consumer brands. They don't sit there and think, oh, well, Dollar Shave Club is a direct-to-consumer brand, therefore I will respond instantaneously to their ads on TV and buy what they're selling. But, Toyota is a different kind of brand, so therefore I won't do something when I see an ad for Toyota. The reality is consumers react in the exact same ways to these ads. They grab whatever connected device they have near them. If they're stimulated, if true intent is generated by seeing an ad, they're going to do the same thing, whether it's a direct-to-consumer brand or a regular brand. They're going to go search for it or take other actions that lead them down funnel. And we saw, standing on the shoulders of decades of behavioral economics research, that watching what people do instead of what they say they're going to do is the best way to understand true future intent.
So what are the sources of the data that you guys put through this machine learning machine?
Yeah, so the best source is search. Like I said, we just grab whatever's closest to us and we start doing searches. Search is the gateway down funnel. Obviously, a lot of people know the power of search, but to harness that data set is tough. We also look at less obvious places where people land in their searches. So places like YouTube or Wikipedia or Facebook are all very interesting. So you can think of this as search and all the other kind of information gathering behaviors that we, through our research, have found are indicative of intent.
So does the tool help with planning or attribution, and who uses it?
Yeah, in a lot of ways, it's measurement the way it should be. It's measurement like we've been doing in digital for a long time. And my first half of my career was spent as an ad product manager in search and display ads in kind of true tech companies. And then second half was as the digital person inside of some TV networks. And this is the bridging of those worlds. This is the way that sophisticated digital marketers have been behaving for years, which is let's test and learn. Let's see what's working and do more of that and less of what's not. That's the way direct-to-consumer brands have been using TV now for years as well. We just are making visible to all the brands that don't own their funnel data, because if you're shopping for a car, you're going to dozens of different auto review sites or shopping sites. You're going to thousands of dealerships, at scale around the country. That data is not your own if you're marketing a new car, a new truck, a new SUV. Your data is scattered everywhere. We're just making it visible by looking at all the gateway behaviors that are leading people to those end destinations where they're buying something.
So does that help with planning or
show
so with efficacy?
It's really powerful for, we always talk about kind of 4 use cases. First, it's for planning. It's great for long-range planning, for near-term spot buying, whichever you're doing. Right now, we're busy as can be with helping people on the upfront. It's also not limited to standard inventory, and that's an important part of this. So if a seller or a buyer is thinking about some very non-standard sponsorship, for example, or a content integration, or any of a number of these innovations that are out there in linear TV, we can help them assess that. Because we've got now 4 years and 4 months of historical data for all national linear TV. We've seen every instance, and we can go back historically. We don't have to have ex-ante knowledge of this. So we can say, what was the last time you saw a car company sponsoring the tree lighting ceremony at Rockefeller Center? Like, what did that do? What's the value of that contextualized against a bunch of other stuff that happened in TV? So we can do that for planning in a really flexible and interesting way. Then the second use case is, once you've made your plan, you can look back and start to build your creative strategy as well off of real behavioral insights of what worked best at driving consumer intent, either in my own historical campaigns or my competitive set. You're not limited to your own data with a syndicated solution like what we've built. So you can say, this is the first time I'm launching a new subcompact SUV that's got a hybrid engine. So let me look at all my competitive set, and when they launched a similar vehicle, what worked for them, both creatively, in addition to the media that you've already planned around. The third use case is really interesting, which is, as you start to run the campaign, what creative's working best where? Which media is best for creative A versus creative C? And I'm going to run more of each in the places that are working best and reduce the wastage that might be there in running the wrong creative in the wrong kind of media. And that real-time creative optimization is something that people have never been able to do. And we now have behaviors that are just like digital marketers, where our buy-side clients are taking a look at our data as it unfolds. Our data has no lag in it. So you can be waking up in the morning, you've run a bunch of your campaign overnight, first day of your campaign, and you'll say, all right, I'm going to start changing my rotation. And it's more work, yes, for some of the people doing the trafficking, but those systems are largely getting digitized finally. And so it's easier and easier for you to say, you know what, I'm going to switch. I got a big buy tonight in the live sports. I'm going to run this creative because I've seen from last night's data that that's the right creative to run versus this other creative where that should only go into scripted entertainment. That kind of optimization is happening now in real time. The beauty of what we did is that we started with some of the most urgent accountable marketers in TV, which are the movie studios. And they're still our best, kind of most voracious customer segment. They are running 4,000 to 6,000 ads in 4 weeks. And they have an absolute kind of must succeed sort of accountability on, if I don't get everyone to show up and agree to see my movie on opening weekend, it's a failure. So that sort of sense of urgency drove us to be very accurate, very real time, and have no sort of lack of clarity on what is a significant result in statistical terms, what's significant and what's not. What is a difference between these two creatives that's going to persist in the future, and what's just within the sort of boundary of normal error. So that's really important. Lastly, we do all sorts of fun custom research for folks off of this really rich data set. I mean, we've scored 60 million and counting national TV ad area since the beginning of 2015. So when you've got that kind of rich data set to work off of, the sky's sort of the limit on what kind of funky research you can do. Like, when's the optimal time to be marketing a pizza? Yeah, sure, think around dinner time's obvious, but our data also shows that there's this huge spike in interest in how people respond to ads for Pizza Hut or Domino's after midnight. I think Pizza Hut and Domino's probably sense that. They see some of their ordering patterns. But for the TV networks to know that and to be able to act on that as sellers of that inventory, that's a big deal.
Cool. So Kevin, tell us just in closing a little bit about the roadmap for you guys. You've raised some funds from a very prestigious backers. What do you see sort of the next 12 months?
So we were really proud of the kind of investor base that we've pulled together. It's folks like Jim Breyer, who has spent a really interesting career straddling the worlds of technology and entertainment. We've also got some folks who really are our role models for how to roll out a new measurement kind of service and technology. The co-founders of Moat, who are great people and really inspiring leaders, they were also major kind of backers in our A round that we announced last fall. And what we're really doing is following a scaling roadmap from folks like that, where we're saying we've got a great kind of platform that is scaled, it's real time, it's got huge economies of scale built into it. So let's make sure that every buyer and seller of TV advertising knows about us, uses us, and we can become a real currency for the future of TV advertising. That's fundamentally the goal. What that means for our roadmap is we need to start building the same kind of solution we've built for linear TV for the non-linear TV future. And that's hugely complex. It's a big lift, but that's what we've built our whole business, our whole technology stack around, which is instead of thinking about the order of complexity, which is real complexity that Nielsen has to deal with when they're kind of trying to understand all viewership across all platforms, the ad exposure metric that they have. They're dealing with, a panel that had to go from tens of thousands to larger than that now to be able to handle all these cross-screen activities. But we're pulling in data on the order of 100 million plus individual consumer actions an hour. Every hour of every day of every year for 4.5 years. We've got scale that is just stunning. So, and the systems are such that there's, this data is instantly available when an ad airs on TV. We've scored it and it's there for our clients. You don't have to wait till 4 p.m. to get the numbers back the next day. It's instantaneous. And to do that, you have to do all sorts of advanced data science behind the scenes in the cloud. It's an intense set of requirements that we've built for, but that gives us a lot of confidence that we can handle the future.